Hey everybody, it's Shaman
And Chris from
and
Harper
Chris
Therapy.
again from the Man Cave, right? The Man Cave.
At Harper Therapy.
At Harper Therapy. So we're here today to talk a little bit about probably a big one for guys, right?
Yeah.
And that's the midlife crisis. Chris told me to wear my van life shirt today because he says I'm having a midlife crisis. So,
Well, I think it's a healthy expression of a midlife crisis. It's within your means. It's something that involves your family, okay? And
I don't know. My family probably thinks I'm about to take off and live in a van and go away and all
in
that.
a van down by the river.
In a van down by the river. And if you get that reference, you're as old as we are.
That's right.
But really, we're here to talk a little bit about midlife crisis today. And we'll do it like we typically do it. I'll ask a couple questions to the expert. He can kind of give us his feedback on it. We can go forward from there because I, by no means at all, am an expert. So what is a midlife crisis?
Well, there are a few points in men's lives, okay, that are pivotal or transitional. And I'm not going to go through the early developmental stuff, but we know between 18 and 25, there's a lot of biochemical changes that take place.
Sure.
And there's a lot of growth and a lot of brain structure that's kind of maturing, formalizing, okay,
Right.
and really kind of getting to that point that you're becoming a man, okay? And we know right there, even with the spikes of testosterone and brain chemistry, a lot can happen there. That's one transitional point. But the next one comes, okay, after we mature, after we've kind of fought some of those battles, aged and matured, and we start to look at those kind of 40-somethings to that 50 age period, okay? When, guess what?
So
Okay.
like you're accusing me right now, but
Yeah, well, you know, things start to thin out a little bit.
Oh!
Okay, and some of the testosterone levels just kind of decline. Okay, but it's also a time that things tend to change. Okay,
Sure.
Biochemically, mentally, physically, emotionally.
right.
Okay, parents are aging. Okay. Some people have kids, okay?
Right.
We're usually in our power years, work-wise, or getting to our power years, okay?
But it comes with what comes with that is a lot of pressure, a lot, those like peak earning years, pressure, worry,
Stress.
family life,
You
all
got
those
it.
stressors, right? All those aggravators of problems.
You got it. And it's the first time you may have realized, okay, that, wow, I'm not the center fielder for the New York Yankees, or I'm not a leader,
Right.
I'm not a rock star, okay? And all of a sudden, the would-haves, the could-haves, the should-haves, okay, can honestly and truly wreak havoc, okay?
Right. So you start having those I've missed opportunities, like because
Yeah.
I don't know if you're like me. In my mind, I'm 18 years old. I'm constantly 18 years old, right?
Until you look in the mirror.
Well, I mean, there is that, but
Right. No, but that's exactly it, okay? Because men don't always approach life stages in the most graceful way,
Right.
okay? And what I mean by that is it's kind of that time, okay, where we have to move out of that work hard, play hard as balance,
right.
and move into that what is sustainable in all arenas.
Right. So I guess the next question then is, how do you know you're kind of having that midlife crisis? How do you know that this event is going on outside of I'm in my 40s or my 50s and these things are starting to happen? I mean, how do you kind of...
Sure, you know, there are times, okay, and I think it's important to acknowledge the difference between aging, okay,
Right.
and a midlife crisis, and a midlife crisis that actually is crisis, okay? Because when we differentiate, there's a lot of normal there, and a lot of changings and adjustments can happen, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes there's a biochemical piece where we get stuck,
Sure.
where we can't move, okay? Where the anxiety increases, where
Right.
we can't manage stress levels the way we used to, where maybe even a little bit of depression kicks in, okay?
Right.
Or even worse, maybe some of those at-risk behaviors, okay? Spending, drugs, alcohol,
Right.
infidelity, okay? Where all of a sudden we're for lack of a better word, acting like a fool, okay,
Right.
and feel like we don't have control of it.
So my mental image of the midlife crisis is the, and this is gonna sound terrible, but is the older guy driving the vet with the top down, the shirt unbuttoned to here,
Sure.
and an 18, 20-year-old woman next
Sure.
to him, and he's gray and old and...
Sure.
Right.
And you know what? And there's a portion of that, okay, that isn't dangerous, okay,
Right.
if it's within your capacity, if it's within your means,
Right.
if it's not disruptive to the rest of your life, if it's not offensive to those people, okay, that have taken that journey with us,
Right.
okay, and to those people that mean something to us.
Right. So we're talking like things like infidelity and issues
Yeah,
like that, right?
absolutely. But we're also really talking about some of those behaviors that are biochemically driven, okay, where we're trying to fulfill a need, okay, when really it's just kind of a change in what our new normal is.
So, like, defining that, like, how do I know I'm there? Like, what are some of the things you feel through that then? Like anxiety, like pressure?
Absolutely. Anxiety, tolerance to stress, tolerance to frustration, okay? And you just look at some of the behaviors that can go along with that. Agitation, okay, lack of patience, okay?
Right.
There's a lot of those tolerances that just shift, and cumulatively they can shift enough that it starts to become a problem. And all of a sudden you're that guy again, okay?
Right.
You're that guy, okay? And no one wants to be that guy. Do you want to be a train wreck?
No,
Or do you want to create a legacy?
Right. And the weird thing is you can see that happening in people, right? Like, you can go, oh my God,
Sure.
that guy right there, he's in his midlife crisis, he's a complete train wreck. We all know those people, right?
Absolutely.
Maybe sometimes we are those people. But...
there's no doubt. There's no doubt. And you know what? There's a portion of that that's normal, and there's a portion of that that's predictable, okay?
Right.
But it's when those would-haves, could-haves, and should-haves start to get to the point that they overwhelm us,
right.
and biochemically form starts to follow function, okay?
So they're like a real stumbling block.
Correct, and we start to act in ways that are uncharacteristic.
Gotcha. So what kind of transformation can someone expect if they're in therapy and they're working through issues that are kind of related to midlife crisis kind of things, especially for guys?
Sure.
Why would I do that?
Well, you know what, let's look at it. I want to use just a relatively simple analogy, okay? If you have an older car, it involves more care, right?
Right.
Okay. As we get older, okay, men aren't very good at self-care.
Sure.
At developing those self-care strategies, okay?
Right.
And it doesn't mean you need to pamper yourself and do yoga and all this other stuff, okay? Not that those things don't help, okay? They do, okay? But it's a matter of figuring out self-care strategies that work specifically for you, okay? That help us create and maintain that balance, okay? And help us get to that point that we can move forward rather than get stuck, rather than look back, okay? And work towards that legacy. Again, you got to avoid that train wreck.
Right. So someone coming into therapy can kind of build some structure around self-care for them. Like
Absolutely.
Create a strategy, create a mechanism that's going to help them cope and work through these things that they're struggling through, right?
Absolutely. And you want to revisit the healthy portions.
Right.
The things that worked for you.
Right.
Okay? Not the things that didn't. And sometimes we need help identifying those and implementing them.
Right. I think peace of mind was another big one we pulled out, right? Just
peace of mind. Okay, you can't. You know what's the commercial? Okay, you can't put a price on that.
Right. I don't remember what that was for, but I do remember the commercial.
Right. There's another thing that starts to happen. We'll get to memory.
I don't know if that's a good marketing strategy that you remember what the slogan was, but you don't remember what the product was. Maybe I don't know if that's like really good or a failure.
Sure.
Either way. And then another one was like that idea of moving forward rather than looking back. You want to talk about that a second?
Well, you know, a lot of times, okay, when we get stuck, okay, it's like a loop. It's like that hamster wheel, okay? And we don't give ourselves permission to move forward, okay? And there are a few mechanisms, and using ART is one of them, okay, that we've been able to get people to just literally step outside that hamster wheel, okay, move forward, okay, and just start to act and live that life that we want to continue to live and be that person that we want to be.
Right. And it's kind of flipping it from like being so reactive
to
like moving forward to like being more proactive and kind of controlling where you're going rather than just holding on and riding it, for dear life and hoping that's going to end up somewhere.
Absolutely. And the important part there is to realize, okay, is that we do get stuck in biochemical patterns. We're used to functioning one way and all of a sudden we're functioning different, okay? the mind and the body don't know what to do. Okay,
Right.
and we have to adjust to those changes. Okay, and I'm going to tell you, okay, if you work with an expert, it can help.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So we here at Harper Therapy, we specialize in this kind of stuff. We can help, especially with men. This is his wheelhouse. You can give us a call at 813-434-3639. And well, I guess we're past Thanksgiving. I was going to say Happy Thanksgiving, but that was like a week
Merry
ago.
Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year.
Whatever
all that good
holiday
stuff.
you're celebrating,
Enjoy.
as we're hitting those seasons, enjoy.